Before we get into everything, make sure you're comfortable, because everything in the K-pop industry is getting messier by the day. The legal battle between belift and Newjeans has officially kicked off, and it's already turning into something much bigger than anyone expected. From plagiarism claims and courtroom drama to major backlash surrounding Hybe's global girl group CAPTIONS and rising tensions with ILET's Wonhee and TYYY's mina, there's a lot happening, and I'm breaking it all down. So make sure you like and subscribe to always stay updated and support the channel to get K-pop updates and always be on top of news. With that said, make sure you sit back, relax, and grab a snack, because things are seriously getting crazy. It seems like the legal battle between belift and Newjeans has officially begun, and to be honest, it's a full-on mess. But don't worry, I'm here to break it all down so you can understand what's actually going on. So first, a bit of context. This lawsuit all stems from the massive accusations and the fallout that followed Newjeans' very public claims that ILET had allegedly plagiarized elements of Newjeans, which, as you know, Newjeans was directly responsible for creating and managing. These suspicions were first raised back in 2024, when Newjeans openly stated that several components of ILET's concept, image, and presentation, including their choreography, styling, and promotional visuals, were essentially mirrored after Newjeans. It didn't stop there either. Newjeans went as far as submitting court documents, claiming that Hybe developed ILET's debut concept by repurposing her own plans for Newjeans. But we'll get into that side later. In response to those bold claims, belift fired back hard by filing a civil lawsuit. They're demanding a hefty compensation of about 2 billion Korean won, which comes out to around 1.4 million US dollars. Their argument? Newjeans' public statements caused serious reputational and financial damage to ILET. Damage that they say includes losing major endorsements and brand deals, a noticeable drop in their social media following, and even declines in their album sales. Belift Lab's legal team also emphasized the emotional toll all of this has taken on the ILET members, arguing that Newjeans' actions were more about boosting her own image than protecting the truth, and that she did so by dragging an innocent girl group into a whirlwind of accusations. Belift Lab has also gone the criminal route by filing complaints accusing Newjeans of both defamation and obstruction of business. They argue that her actions weren't just misguided, but deliberately based on false and one-sided narratives. As of July 2025, this legal conflict has escalated to full-on courtroom hearings, with high-stakes arguments centered around whether Newjeans' plagiarism accusations and media play truly crossed the line into defamation and unlawful business interference. This isn't just petty drama. It's a serious legal case with real consequences, and it all hinges on whether, based on the balance of probabilities, ILET may have actually plagiarized Newjeans or not. Let's start off by looking into ILET's side of the story, since they were the ones who first brought the lawsuit forward. On July 18th, the 12th Civil Affairs Department of the Seoul Western District Court held the third round of oral arguments in Hybe label's lawsuit against Newjeans for 2.5 billion won in damages. ILET's side of the argument focused heavily on breaking down the similarities, or lack thereof, between their group and Newjeans. They brought up debut stages, overall concepts, music, choreography, and strategic plans to counter the claim that ILET had simply copied Newjeans. ILET's legal team also responded specifically to the accusation about their hanbok photoshoot, saying that Newjeans' claim of plagiarism here just didn't hold up. They pointed out that many idols have done hanbok photoshoots during Korean holidays, and it's hardly a concept exclusive to Newjeans. According to ILET's side, the idea that they copied such a common cultural theme was an indiscriminate attack rather than a legitimate claim. They pushed back further by arguing that while Newjeans has always aimed for a Y2K aesthetic and a natural retro vibe without a set worldview, ILET built their own unique identity around fantasy-like characters. Think princesses and magical girls. In terms of musical production, ILET's songs involved a broader group of composers and leaned more into a pop sound, while Newjeans had a specific team of producers. Their debut process also differed entirely. Newjeans debuted in a surprise format with music video drops, while ILET was publicly selected through a JTBC audition show and gradually introduced to fans via YouTube. When it comes to choreography, ILET emphasized storytelling and group synchronization, whereas Newjeans leaned into freestyle movement. ILET's team even suggested that Newjeans had to know all this already, considering how different the two groups' debut processes were. ILET debuted through the show All About Us Next in September 2023, while Newjeans avoided survival formats altogether and debuted with a surprise drop followed by their first official appearance at a Chanel beauty event. As for the hanbok photoshoot accusations, ILET's legal reps called out the absurdity, stating that if you just do a quick online search, you'll find dozens of idols wearing hanbok at palaces. They questioned whether Newjeans and her team genuinely didn't know this or were intentionally ignoring common common knowledge. They went as far as calling it an indiscriminate attack. ILLIT's side also criticized what they referred to as the Minhee theory of everything, claiming she was essentially presenting herself as the sole creator of anything Newjeans related and beyond. They broke down specific choreography moves that Minhee said ILLIT had copied and showed how those same moves had already been used by a wide range of other groups. For example, the hair whip move from Newjeans' debut could also be found in performances by Hearts 2 Hearts, Chungha, Kiss of Life, aespa, ITZY, and more. The same went for the arm swing in Ditto and the sitting move in Hybe, which ILLIT's team argued were widely used and part of the public domain in K-pop choreography. Their point was clear: claiming exclusive rights to such common elements would set a dangerous precedent that could stifle creativity and competition across the industry. ILLIT's legal team also revisited Minhee controversial press conference from April 2024, where she had revealed behind-the-scenes conflicts with Hybe's top brass, including Bang Si-hyuk. During that same press conference, she had accused Hybe of deliberately debuting Le Sserafim before Newjeans and holding back Newjeans promotions until after Le Sserafim's debut. As a result, Source Music, which manages Le Sserafim, filed a 500 million won lawsuit for damages against her, and Belift Lab followed up with their own 2 billion won lawsuit. Now, flipping the script, let's talk about Minhee side of the case, because they're not holding back either. As the former CEO of Adore, the label behind Newjeans, she and her team have come out strongly against the accusations. They focused particularly on the hanbok pictorial, calling it one of the most controversial aspects. Her team insisted that the similarities between the two groups' photo shoots were striking, saying, "It's so similar that at first glance you can't tell if it's a pictorial from the same group or different groups." They further emphasized that elements like colors, props, styling, backgrounds, composition, character positioning, and lighting were all eerily alike. In terms of their first public appearances, Minhee pointed out that Newjeans had made their debut at a Chanel event, and ILLIT had followed suit with their own fashion event debut. Her team went on to compare specific styling choices, like hair and makeup, saying they were so similar that the public was mistaking one group for the other, even leaving comments online like, "I thought they uploaded the wrong photo of Newjeans." Minhee's camp didn't stop there. They argued that ILLIT had copied not just the overall concept, but also specific details like album design. According to them, Newjeans had introduced a retro-inspired aesthetic using pixelated fonts and monochrome illustrations in their CDs. ILLIT's albums, they argued, used near-identical designs, even mimicking the typography and layout. They also reiterated the public's role in recognizing these similarities first. Many fans had pointed out how the choreography in ILLIT's Magnetic resembled Newjeans' Ditto, and how moves from Newjeans' Attention were showing up in ILLIT's My World. Her team even cited those fan observations as part of their argument. And once again, they circled back to the 2024 press conference, where Minhee had exposed Hybe's internal power struggles and repeated her belief that Hybe pushed Le Sserafim ahead of Newjeans and restricted their promotions. That press conference remains central to the lawsuits now being brought by both Source Music and Belift Lab. In the court of public opinion, many are now flipping the narrative. Rather than seeing ILLIT as the alleged copiers, there's growing debate over whether Newjeans' hanbok photoshoot itself had been inspired by earlier idols, given how deeply rooted hanbok is in Korean tradition. Some are questioning if this concept can even be considered owned in the first place. So that's the current state of this messy legal showdown. What are your thoughts? Do you think there's real plagiarism here? Or is it just an unfortunate overlap and misunderstanding within the hyper-competitive world of K-pop? Let's now move on to yet another major controversy that's currently melting Hybe in a firestorm of backlash, this time involving their global girl group CATSI, and more specifically, the growing concern over the repeated exclusion of member Manon. For those unfamiliar, CATSI was formed through a collaboration between Hybe and Geffen Records, and while the group debuted with high hopes and massive attention, fans have begun raising serious concerns over what they see as a troubling pattern: Manon's constant absence from group promotions. The issue really gained traction earlier this week when a viral tweet pointed out just how often Manon has been left out or visibly sidelined from major group activities. What started as a single observation snowballed into something much bigger, as fans started compiling instances and receipts. One after another, more examples surfaced: screenshots, video clips, interview spreads, all lacking one common factor: Manon. One of the most glaring and talked about examples is the group's recent celebration over their partnership with Glossier, which included a billboard moment that should have been a celebratory highlight for the entire group. However, when fans saw the photos, they were stunned. While the other members were seen proudly posing in front of the massive ad, Manon was noticeably missing. And to make matters worse, on the actual billboard itself, her face was partially covered by one of the other members. Whether intentional or not, the optics alone were jarring, and fans were not having it. It didn't stop there. The group also did an interview with Hybe that got a lot of attention online, but once again, Manon's individual photo was missing. While the other members had their own individual moments in the layout, Manon was absent entirely. This absence wasn't just a one-time thing anymore, it was becoming a clear pattern. Adding even more fuel to the fire, fans noticed how little screen time Manon had in and KATSEYE's recent promotional video for their collaboration with Monster High. In a segment where members were reacting to their own dolls, a major moment, especially given the group's branding and partnerships, Manon was barely shown. There was little to no individual focus on her, no commentary, and no spotlight. That, for many fans, was the final straw. The frustration had reached a boiling point. What's deeply upsetting to many is that Manon isn't just a member being left out. She's the only black member of the group. This has sparked extremely serious and emotional conversations among fans, many of whom are drawing comparisons to other black idols who faced similar treatment in the past. Names like Ly-Ann Pinnock from Little Mix and Normani from Fifth Harmony have already been brought up in the discourse, and people are pointing to a long-standing issue in the music industry of black women being sidelined, erased, or not given equal shine. As a result, the fan base has taken action. KATSEYE fans have gone on a strike, voicing their anger, refusing to promote content, and demanding that Manon be treated with the same visibility and respect as her fellow members. The pressure became so intense that it prompted a response from the editor of Hybe, the outlet that published the group's Hybe article. In a statement addressing the backlash, the editor clarified, "To the icons, I am not in charge of what photos were sent for the article. They didn't send me a solo photo of Manon to be included. Otherwise there would be one. I wouldn't purposely exclude her guys. They didn't send the photos until super late the night before it was slated to go up, and the story had to go up with the materials given. I apologize for how it came off, but there was never any ill intention." Manon is a huge part of the interview, as are all of the girls. I love Manon just as much as you guys do, okay? I know it's frustrating, and I really do apologize for any confusion it's caused. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and that's not an excuse, but all I can do is make the best out of the opportunities and materials provided. While some fans appreciated the clarification, many still felt that the editor's hands being tied only emphasized a larger issue. Why wasn't a solo image of Manon provided in the first place? Why are these oversights always happening specifically to her? For a group that represents global unity and diversity, this kind of pattern has left a bitter taste for many. So far, neither Hybe nor Geffen Records have issued any kind of public statement regarding the controversy. And for fans who've had enough, the silence is only adding to the problem. As the strike continues and the outrage grows, the question remains, how long will Manon be left out before someone in power finally addresses what's happening? Whether it's intentional exclusion, mismanagement, or a deeper issue of racial bias that needs to be confronted, one thing is clear. Fans are no longer staying quiet, and they're demanding accountability from a company that claims to stand for global inclusivity. Moving on, ILLIT's Wonhee is currently facing a whirlwind of backlash, and believe it or not, it all stems from what seems like a very innocent comment she made in an interview. The controversy is picking up fast, and the reason behind it is honestly a bit hard to believe. During a casual interview, Wonhee shared her thoughts about the first group that comes to mind when she thinks of K-pop girl groups. She said, "In my opinion, when I think of K-pop girl groups, the first group that comes to mind is TWYYY Sunbeam. Since I was young, TWYYY were always someone my friends watched and who naturally became a part of my daily life." It was a personal and respectful answer about a group that inspired her, but this one statement ended up sparking chaos online. Blackpink fans, known as Blinks, took this comment completely the wrong way. Instead of simply respecting Wonhee's opinion or acknowledging that different idols have different influences, some Blinks jumped to the conclusion that she was purposely ignoring or dismissing Blackpink, and from there, things spiraled out of control. Suddenly, Wonhee was being attacked online, and the hate comments came in strong. What's especially disturbing is how the criticism quickly took a very dark turn. People began mocking Wonhee's appearance, going as far as comparing her to individuals with Down syndrome. This is beyond offensive. Not only is it an incredibly disrespectful attack on Wonhee's physical appearance, but it's also deeply harmful and dehumanizing toward individuals with disabilities. Using Down syndrome as an insult isn't just inappropriate, it reflects a toxic mindset that needs to be called out. The fact that this is being done over a single harmless comment is both shocking and heartbreaking. This situation also highlights the hypocrisy that some fans are pointing out within the Blackpink fandom. Many Blinks, especially international ones, proudly present themselves as feminists and advocates for women. But here we are, watching some of those same people tearing down a young woman simply for expressing admiration for a different girl group. It's incredibly contradictory to preach female empowerment while simultaneously bullying a girl for not mentioning your favorite idols. The hate Wonhee is receiving is disproportionate and deeply unnecessary. It's baffling that this level of outrage came from her expressing genuine respect toward TWYYY, a group that has been around for years and has had massive influence on a lot of newer idols. It's also worth noting that Blackpink and TWYYY have always shown nothing but love and support for each other. They've interacted positively multiple times, making it clear there's no bad blood between them. So this fan-created drama is probably not just hurting Wonhee, it's creating a rift between fandoms where none actually exists. At the end of the day, Belift Lab hopefully is monitoring the situation and doing what they can to protect Wonhee from the toxic and unwarranted hate she's receiving. Because no idol, especially one as young as her, should be put through that level of harassment over something so trivial. It's a reminder of just how toxic toxic stan culture can become when people choose to interpret everything through a lens of competition and drama, instead of just letting idols live and speak their truth. Moving on, Adore has recently stirred up a whole new wave of attention by releasing a poster for Newjeans' 3rd anniversary celebration. The poster laid out a lineup of content that fans can expect on the group's official channels in honor of the milestone, and while there was plenty listed, what really caught everyone's eye was a particular detail that immediately set off a buzz online. Among the teasers were the words Preformance, and most notably, MV, short for music video. That one small abbreviation managed to ignite a firestorm within the fandom almost instantly. While this might seem like an exciting announcement for any group celebrating such a big anniversary, it didn't exactly land the way Adore might have expected. In fact, many Newjeans fans took to social media to express their anger and frustration over what they saw as yet another example of the company tormenting the girls. Posts started popping up with fans pleading for Adore to stop what they called a cycle of recycled content, accusing the company of continuing to push out pre-recorded or previously filmed footage rather than giving the group something genuinely new. However, if we're being completely real about the situation, there's one major detail that can't be ignored. The court has made it very clear that, legally, Newjeans are still required to work under Adore. This means that any scheduled releases, be it a music video, performance clip, or anything else, are technically in line with their contractual obligations, until the court issues a ruling that allows the girls to become independent or renegotiates the terms of their current situation. They are expected to fulfill the duties laid out by their company. That's not speculation, it's a legal fact. So while fans may be urging Adore to stop releasing content or accusing the company of dragging things out, the truth is that these uploads don't necessarily reflect anything shady or malicious. It's more about the group following through on their contractual responsibilities, plain and simple. Telling Adore to hold back these releases, or to cancel them altogether, doesn't really serve anyone, especially not Newjeans, who are still trying to maintain a connection with fans and celebrate a major anniversary under the existing structure of their agency. That said, the teaser of a new MV has naturally gotten fans talking and speculating. Many are wondering if this could actually be the sign of a comeback, something truly fresh instead of another throwback drop or repackaged release. But as of right now, nothing has been confirmed. No official comeback has been announced, and we're left waiting to see whether this music video will be part of something bigger or just another piece of previously recorded content being released to mark the occasion. Whatever happens, it looks like this anniversary is going to be far from quiet. Moving on, it seems as though prosecutors have officially dismissed a defamation case over a series of controversial online comments that were directed at Hybe, and the details behind this decision have been stirring up quite a bit of conversation. To break it down, South Korean prosecutors have ultimately cleared an anonymous online user of any criminal charges after Hybe filed a formal complaint. The complaint revolved around comments that were posted under Naver news articles, which Hybe claimed were both defamatory and insulting to the company's reputation. According to a non-indictment decision obtained by Financial News on July 20th, the Busan branch of the Incheon District Prosecutor's Office made its decision earlier this month, on July 4th. After reviewing the case, the prosecutors concluded there simply wasn't enough evidence to move forward with an indictment against the user, referred to as A, under the defamation and insult provisions of the Information and Communications Network Act. The comments in question were posted back in September 2023, and while they were certainly critical, prosecutors found them to fall within the bounds of personal opinion rather than criminal misconduct. One of the user's comments appeared under a news article titled Hybe's global girl group Cat's Eye enters billboards bubbling under Hot 100. In that post, the user wrote, "Also, Hybe recently acquired a US media manipulation firm." A second comment was posted under a different article, which focused on the highly publicized legal dispute between Adore CEO Jin and Hybe. In that comment, the user stated, "Hybe seems collectively mentally ill. Did Bang Si-hyuk manipulate them like juice writing? They're lying like Hamas." Naturally, Hybe responded strongly, arguing that these comments were not only offensive, but also crossed the line into defamation. They specifically pointed to what they saw as false claims, such as the suggestion that Hybe engaged in unethical media practices, and also raised concerns over being compared to a terrorist organization, which they viewed as a deeply serious insult. However, after careful review, prosecutors ultimately decided that the comments did not meet the threshold required to be considered criminal. In their analysis, they acknowledged that the statements may have been crude or inflammatory, but they emphasized that the line between offensive speech and criminally actionable defamation is a high one, especially when it comes to public figures or large organizations. For example, prosecutors looked into the claim about Hybe acquiring a so-called media manipulation firm. They pointed out that the company in question, the agency, a US-based public relations firm acquired by Hybe, is indeed involved in media strategy and campaigns favorable to artists. Whether or not someone chooses to refer to it as a manipulation firm is a matter of subjective interpretation, not a provably false statement. In short, it's an opinion, not a factual misrepresentation. As for the other remarks, including the terms mentally ill and Hamas, the prosecutors acknowledged that they were offensive in tone. However, they concluded that such expressions were still within the legal realm of personal opinion and public criticism. criticism, especially considering that Hybe is a prominent company constantly under media scrutiny. Under South Korean law, insult is defined as an expression of contempt or negative judgment that harms another's reputation, even without specific facts being stated. But when it comes to public figures or organizations, the courts tend to apply stricter standards to determine whether such speech truly qualifies as a criminal act. Legal precedent in South Korea has repeatedly emphasized that when the subject of discussion is a matter of public interest, especially involving high-profile companies or political controversies, then even exaggerated, sarcastic, or strongly worded comments may still be protected under the right to free expression. Both the Constitutional Court and lower courts have ruled that punishing such speech too harshly can create a chilling effect, leading to unnecessary self-censorship and ultimately threatening the democratic principle of free speech. In this case, the prosecution took all of that into account and ruled that there was not enough evidence to charge the user with criminal defamation or insult. As a result, they formally dismissed the case, leaving Hybe without the legal outcome they had been hoping for. Moving on, TWICE's Mina has recently found herself at the center of criticism online following the release of some viral clips from the group's latest concert in Seoul. TWICE, under JYP Entertainment, just kicked off their massive 6th world tour titled This Is For, performing 2 major shows over the weekend. These concerts were packed with a mix of their iconic title tracks, cherished fan-favorite B-sides, and newer songs from their latest album of the same name. As a group, TWICE has always received praise, both from Korean and international fans, for their strong synchronization, tight choreography, and energetic stage presence. Their performances are known to light up arenas with vibrancy and precision. However, this time, a particular fan-taken video of Mina performing Feel Special has drawn unexpected backlash. In the clip, Mina is seen dancing alongside her members, but several international fans began pointing out that her energy appeared noticeably lower than the rest of the group. Comments started circulating that Mina looked sluggish and wasn't bringing the same vitality to the stage, with a few even claiming that she had little to no stage presence during that specific performance. The scrutiny didn't stop there. Another clip began gaining attention, this time from their performance of Dance the Night Away. Once again, viewers took issue with her energy level and overall engagement, igniting a new wave of online commentary. These clips quickly became a hot topic across social media, creating a divide among fans. Some were quick to defend Mina, noting how demanding concerts are on idols both physically and mentally, and that expecting unwavering, high-energy performances at all times is unrealistic. Others, however, took a more critical stance, saying that regardless of the circumstances, idols have a responsibility to maintain a certain level of performance, especially when fans are paying to attend these events. The situation has now evolved into a full-blown debate. What's also fueling this discourse is the recent comparison being made to Blackpink's Jennie, who earlier faced similar backlash after a clip surfaced from their concert in LA, where she was seen not dancing at one point. Although it was later understood she was adjusting her mic pack in the footage, the backlash was already in motion by the time context surfaced. Now, with Mina's footage gaining similar traction, fans are again asking whether the intense expectations placed on idols during tours are becoming too much. Some fans are voicing disappointment, but others are calling for empathy and understanding, pointing out that performing flawlessly, night after night, under such pressure, is far from easy. These moments are starting to spark larger conversations about idol health, expectations, and how much is too much when it comes to demanding consistent perfection from performers in high-pressure environments. And that's a wrap on today's video. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe with notifications on. I'll see you next time with even more updates.
Like in the future.